Hey guys, welcome back to YT Classroom. I hope you all are doing well. So today we are back with another 0580 CIE Igcse Mathematics video, and this is the paper 2 variant 3 from May-June 2024. We're going to look at this paper in detail, and I'm going to show you solutions to all of the questions so that you don't have to worry about your exams and you can ace up your exams. Let's move on. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel because more new videos, especially of the 2024 past papers, are coming up soon. Now let's move on to the first question that we have got today. Paper 2-3 from May-June 2024, and this paper is 70 marks, just in case you don't know. So the first question we've got here is write the number 2,000,002 in figures. A pretty easy question for 1 mark. 2 million. So basically a million is followed by 6 zeros, then we have 2000, and then we're just gonna put it another 2. That's how it's supposed to look like. Alright, I hope this is clear. Then it says put one pair of brackets into this calculation to make it clear, to make it correct. Now this is a bit of pretty tricky question, and here what you have to do is you have to work out where would you put it. Now I've seen this question before, and as per this is basically trial and error. But if you see here, when you do this, 4 into 3, which is 12. 12 minus 9 is 3. And 5 minus 3 is 2. And 2 minus 2 is 0. Therefore, this would be the right answer. Moving on, it says simplify. 7x minus x is 6x. And negative 8y minus y is negative 9y. Do not just take as 8y, it's negative 8y, minus y is 9y. So that's 6x minus 9y. Moving on, it says that the base of a cuboid measures 10 centimeters by 7 centimeters. The volume is 280 centimeters. You find the height. Now, whenever we calculate the volume of a cube or a cuboid, it's basically a cuboid. It's the length times the base times the height. Length times width, or length times base times height. So since we know the length, which is 10, and the base is 7, but the height is something unknown, and the value is given as 280. So simply, in order to find the height, what you do is 280 divided by 10 into 7. Alright, so when you do 280 divided by 10 into 7, that gives you 4. So your height is just 4. You can check that 10 into 7 is 70 and 70 into 4 is 280. In a city, the probability that it will rain today is 0.15. Find the probability that it will not rain today. So basically, because the total probability is 1, either it rains or does not rain, so we can just do 1 minus 0.15, and that gives us 0.85. 0.85. The next question is basically, it says factorize completely. So factorize basically means that you have to find out what's common in both of these terms. As you can see, x and y are common, so just going to factor out x and y. Now, if I multiply x and y with 4, so I'll get 4. You see x is squared, so we just need to put one more x here, and when you multiply this with the outer term, that becomes 4x squared y, so we're complete now. On this side we have a 5, x is, there's only one x, so we have that outside. Just need to put one more y, that becomes negative 5x, negative 5xy squared. That's it. Easy question. xy, 4x minus 5y. Moving on, 4x here. Right. The scale of the map is 1 is to 40,000. On the map, the distance between the two villages is 37 centimeters. Calculate the actual distance between the two villages and give your answer in kilometers. Now, the scale basically means that if there's a 1 centimeter distance on the map, then how much is it equivalent to in real life? So 1 centimeter is 40,000. So if it's 37 centimeters, we're going to multiply it by 40,000. Now remember, the final answer that this gives us is basically going to be in centimeters because we have taken 37 in centimeters. We want in kilometers. So we're just going to divide this reading by 100 because that will give us the kilometer reading. And then if we divide this by 1000, you can do this separately just to save your time and steps. You could do it this way as well. So 37, when you just type this whole thing in a calculator, 37 into 40,000 divided by 100 and divided by 1000 again. That gives you 14.8 kilometers. Next up, we have a question where we don't use the calculator. So it says work out 3 over 7 minus 1 over 14. And you must show all your working. So basically, whenever you're doing fraction subtraction, the denominators have got to be same. So I'm going to make the both of them 14. Now 7 into 2 is 14. That means you're going to multiply 3 as well. That becomes 6, and 14 remains 14. So now you have 5 over 14. Pretty easy question as well. Moving on, we have question number 9, which says the diagram shows a right angle triangle, calculate AB. AB is this side. Now if you take this angle, so this is going to be your opposite side, which is AC. Opposite, this is adjacent, and this is hypotenuse. So if you remember SOHCAHTOA, we're going to use basically cos, that is because CAS, that is cos is equals to adjacent over hypotenuse. So cos 37 is basically equals to AB, which is what you're going to find. The hypotenuse is 8 centimeters. So AB is basically 8 into cos 37. Just use your calculator to find this out. 8 into cos 37. That gives me 6.39. Yeah, 6.39 if you're on three significant figures. Now it says that find the gradient of the line joining the points -7 and 1, 3, 1. So the gradient formula is basically y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now this can be written as, if you want to change it and write y1 minus y2, you could do that, but you have to put the same for x. That will be x1 minus x2. I'm just going to simply use this formula just for clarity. y2 is 1 and y1 is 7, x2 is 3. Now remember there's a minus sign here, so just going to put an extra 1, -2. Just put this in your calculator. 1 minus 7 is basically -6. 3 minus 2 is 5. So that gives me -1.2, or you can write fraction form as well. Next question asks us to solve a simultaneous equation. 5t minus 2t minus 2w is 19, and 3t plus 2w is 5. So as you can see, if you just write these equations, first of all, 5t, now hold up, 5t minus 2w is equals to 19, and 3t plus 2w is 5. Now if you see, if you add up -2w plus 2w, it will cancel it out. So we can just add these both. 5t plus 3t is 8t, -2w plus 2w is 0. I'm just not going to add that. And 19 plus 5 is 24. 8t is 24, so t is equals to 24 divided by 8, that gives you t is 3. Now if t is 3, then we just take either of these equations. I'm going to take the second one. 3 times 3, because 3t, so 3 times 3 plus 2w is equals to 5. That means 2w is equals to 5 minus 3 times 3, because I take it to the other side. So 2w is equals to 3 times 3 is 9. 5 minus 9 is -4. W equals to -2. So t is 3 and w equals to -2. Alright, moving on. Now here we have to simplify. So whenever you have this type of question, first you do for the whole number. 32 divided by 16, you could say that is, because 16 into 2 is 30, so that is 2. G16 and G8. Now this G is a variable, but because it has a power 16 minus 8, you could just subtract the power. Just write G16 minus 8 is 8. Alright, that's the basic rule of indices. Moving on, we have 625k raised to 8 into 3 by 4. And these types of questions, you separate the whole number and the variable. So it can be written as 625 raised to 3 by 4. K, the power, will be 8 times 3 by 4. The power of k will be multiplied with outside power. When you do 625 raised to 3 by 4, that gives me 125. K comes here. 8 into 3 by 4 is basically 6. Alright, so this is what I get. 125 k raised to 6. Moving on, it says shade the region A union B naught. So we don't have to shade B. Basically, you have to shade the region which includes A and not B. So when I shade this, first of all, I shade A, the whole of A. Because it says union, not intersection. The union basically means everything which is included in A. Alright, the whole thing is going to be shaded, and what is not in B. So in not B, I'm going to have this outside part as well, so I'm just going to shade that. And that gives me my answer. A lot of students would basically not shade this, basically this circle, just in the intersection between A and B, but you do have to shade that because that is basically what we say is A union B. If it was intersection, then we might not have shaded it. The next is there's a shading given and we have to basically describe it. So this can be described as, if you do basically P union Q naught, If you do P union Q, that would basically mean P and U together. And if you do not, basically means all the outside regions. Intersection with R, that would mean the common region would be here. So I would say R intersection with P union Q not. See, because when you shade P union Q, you would be P union Q not. So basically, avoiding the circles of P and Q, you would shade everything here, here, including R. And when I say intersection with R, basically means that you can erase all of this part and just leave it here, because we want only what's common with R. Alright, I hope this is clear. If you have any doubts, you can comment down below. Moving on, now this is, I think, the circles question. So it says that P, Q, R and T are points in circle. P, Q, R and T are points in circle. AB is basically tangent to the circle at T. Angle ATP is given 50, PTR 48, and PQ is basically equals to QY. Find angle PRT. Now if you notice angle PRT is basically this angle. So basically, for finding these types of angles in the opposite segment, what you do is, you would simply, this is the angle you gotta find, right? So if you have 50 degrees here, and if it's like this point, you gotta see where are the lines meeting. That means this PT, where is it meeting up? It's meeting up here, so that means this angle would also be PT. This is called as the angles in the opposite alternate segment rule. Then we have angle QPR. Now as you can see, this is a cyclic quadrilateral. So in cyclic quadrilateral, cyclic quadrilateral is because the four sides touch the circumference or the edge of the circle. So, and in that case, the opposite angles in the cyclic quadrilateral would have to 180. So if this is 48, that means this would be 180 minus 48. That gives me 132. And now you see this is an isosceles triangle where the base angles would be equal. So if I do 182, the angles in a triangle add up to 180. If I subtract 180 minus 132, I would get 48. That means this angle and this angle should add up to become 48. That means these are 24 and this is 24. To write the proper working, angle PQR, first of all, angle PQR would be equivalent to basically 180 minus 132, which is basically equal to 48. So angle QPR is equals to QRP. Angle QPR QPR is equals to QRP, which is equivalent of 24 degrees. Moving on, next question that we have is about cumulative frequency. The time taken for each of the 200 students to complete the calculation is measured. The cumulative shows the results. Use a diagram to find an estimate for the interquartile range. Whenever you find an interquartile range, you see the cumulative frequency. So you find 3/4 of the cumulative frequency. 1/4 and 3/4. 1/4 of 200 would be 50, which is around here, and 3/4 would be 150, which is here. So check the reading at 50. This is this reading. So if I point it down, that gives me 16. Okay, this is my lower reading. If I check the upper reading, upper quartile, that is reading goes around here. This is often perfectly marked so that students don't struggle. And if I take it down all the way up here, that gives me 27. 27 minus 16 is 11. And it says the number of students who take more than 40 seconds. So if you just take the time to 40 and we draw a line up here, you can use your pencil to do that. So you will end up somewhere here. Now I just have to match this with this. So basically it's around here. Yeah. Alright. So if you have 180, then 184, 188, 192, and 196. It's 194. So 200 minus 194 is 6. 200 minus 194 is basically equivalent of 6. The next step question we have is for rearranging. Rearranging the formula to make h the subject. H, that means this term. Now whenever rearranging, first of all, leave the term that is pi dh on one side. So a minus pi r squared is equals to pi dh. Then what you do with h is you have to factor it out. I mean basically pi and d are being multiplied, so I would just do a equals to pi r squared divided by pi d. Because I don't want these on the edge side, I would get h. this is how we have done this question. Now moving on to question number 17. Now we're looking at question number 17. So it says work out giving each answer in the standard form: 2.1 into 10 raised to 101 into 8 into 10 raised to 101. Now often these types of questions, when you try to enter them in the calculator, they wouldn't give you an answer because calculators cannot handle such large powers. So there's no real technique to learn it, but the way I did it through my GCSE exams was that if you basically put a value, for example, if you do 2 times 2.1 times 10 raised to, let's say 10, 2.1 10 raised to 10 into 8 into 10 raised to 8 into 10 raised to 10, that is giving me 1.68 into 10 raised to 21. When I did basically 2.1 into 10 raised to 10 into 8 into 10 raised to 10, it's basically giving me 1.68 into 10 raised to 21. Now what you got to understand, when you're multiplying is this 1.68 remains constant, and when you do the other part, that is 10 raised to, you just have to add them up and add 1 together. So basically 101 plus 101 plus 1, that gives you 203. There's a long explanation behind this, but if you understand this, or if any type of question comes up and if you use this technique, it works out. So I often recommend this technique, and I indeed use this technique in my exam. 10 raised to 203. Alright. So now I hope this question is clear. Please take a look throughout this working. I've forgotten to write in the answer for the previous question. Yep. Now let's move on. Now here we have second question about the same. 2.1 into 10 raised to 101 plus 2.1 into 10 raised to 100. Now whenever you're writing the powers, make sure that they're in the same degree. For example, these both are same, so I just use the same. Again, I would use the same thing for here. 2.1 into 10 raised to, I would say 11 maybe, plus 2.1 into 10 raised to 10. When you do this, 2.1 into 10 raised to 11, be careful, it's addition. And then if you do 2.1 into 10 raised to 10, that gives me 2.31 into 10 raised to 11. So if I just use for the larger power, then it will basically, the sum will remain same, but what will change is that in this case you see it's 11, that is the largest power here, so it's going to be 101. 10 into 101, 2.31 into 10 raised to 101. I hope this is clear. You can even figure it out when you multiply and you just have the remaining things are just zeros. So if you figure out a technique with working with the zeros, you will get the same answer. Same with the addition. Now in this case, the addition, the answer is not 2.1 plus 2.1 because there's a difference of, let's say, two places, so they wouldn't add up in the same way. 2.1 plus 2.1. Moving on to the next question. Now the diagram shows two sides which are called as VA and VB of a regular polygon. AVX is a straight line, and angle BVX, this angle is Y. Angle AVB is basically 11.5 times Y. So it says find the number of sides for this polygon. The number of sides, they have basically asked us to find the number of sides for this polygon. Now what I would do in this case is that simply, because I know that what is the exterior angle of polygon? 360 divided by the number of sides, which are n, and this is being multiplied with 11.5. So 11.5 times is equal to the interior angle. The interior angle is 180 into n minus 2 divided by n. Alright, because what I've done is 360 minus n over n is the exterior angle, which is y, into 11.5 is going to give me the interior angle, which is 180 n minus 2 divided by n. When you do this, 11.5 into 360 is basically 4140 over n is equals to 180 n minus 360 divided by n. So when you do 4140 n is equals to 180 n squared minus 360 n. Simply got to solve this. 4140 plus 360 would give me 4500 n is equals to 180 n squared. Now I got to find the value for basically n squared. If I just take this over here, I can write this down as 4500 n is equals to 180 n into n, because that's simply n squared. Now this would make my job simple. I could simply say 4500 n divided by 180, and the n would cancel out. 4500 divided by 180 is basically 25. Moving up, next question is from transformations. So it says, describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle T onto W. As you can see, the triangle is rotated, so 1 mark for writing rotation. We're going to find the center and whether it is clockwise or if it is anti-clockwise. And the angle also. Now as you can see, triangle T has been rotated to this side. So basically, this is clockwise rotation and this is 90 degrees. Clockwise. And the angle, which is 90 degrees. And now you're going to find the center. To find the center, what you would do is you would basically take your ruler, which I'm taking here as my digital ruler, and then you would connect the corresponding points. Make sure you find the corresponding points first. I would just take a ruler and at least connect 2 pairs of corresponding points. So this is one, and now for this line, what I want to do is I want to draw a basically a perpendicular bisector, or a line that cuts it in half. That would go somewhere over here. Not exactly sure because two boxes, yeah, should somewhere over here. The other one is basically one more point. I would choose a different color for your clarity, so my second line is going to be in green color. Alright, now if I match up, I think this point, short line and the slanting line, it would match up with this line here. Or I could do this instead. It's going to be way easier. Alright, so when I do this, again, I can count the boxes. There is 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 3 and 4. I would just take my perpendicular bisector would be over here. Yeah, something like that. So as you can see, these both lines, the perpendicular bisectors are meeting up at 0 and -2. So we can confirm that. We can even see, now we can often check for ourselves because this method is not the most accurate. So it is better to check. Where the point you got is 0 and -2. When we check it, just erase the lines. After that, use pencil. 0, -2. So if we take basically one step and then go up 4, so 90 degrees clockwise will be going like this. One step and going this way, 4 steps. Hence we are correct. You can do the same for other points and you will get the exact same answer. Next up, it says that draw the enlargement of triangle T with scale factor -2 and center of enlargement -1.1. First of all, mark the center of enlargement. It's -1.1, -1 of x and 1 of y. It's here. I don't need the ruler anymore. It's here. Now I need basically a scale factor is -2. For -2, what you're going to do is I see. For example, for this point, I have to move 2 and 1, 2 to the right and 1 up. So I would go 4 because scale factor is 2, and down in the opposite direction because it's -2. Next point, let's say this point, 2 to the right and 4 up. So 4 to the left, and since 4 up, so 8 down. 8 down would be 2, 4, 6, no, 2, 4, 6, and 8. It would come some down here. And then 3 to the right for this point, last point, 3 to the right and 4 up. So 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 4 up, so 8 down. 8 down, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Make sure you work carefully with the boxes. Choose one that you're going to work with the boxes or with the points, because sometimes they're not lined up carefully and I've made a mistake myself. So I'm just going to warn you guys before. Then you just connect them together. Use a ruler in this case. Yeah. Easy question for 5 marks. Now next up we have a functions question. So it says find x when f of x is 245. So basically it says that 3 raised to x plus 2, the result is 245. So 3 raised to x is basically 243 because when we take the 2 to the other side. So we have to find the number that we raised to, we have to find the value that when it is put on the power of 3 it gives us 2. So imagine if I do 3 raised to 3, it gives me 27, that is too small. So I put 3 raised to 4, 81, this is too small. So I do 3 raised to 5, that is 243. So x would become 5. This is called trial and error method. You could use logs, but then logs is not a part of Igcse, hence you can't use them. Find x when f inverse of x is 7. Now f inverse of x is basically that if I write this function y is equals to 3 raised to x plus 2. and then I write x is equals to 3 raised to y plus 2, and now I have to rearrange it for y. So x minus 2 is equals to 3y. So I could say that y is equals to log of 3 times x minus 2. Now this function is basically going to tell me that what do I have to raise 3 to get x minus 2, which is simply the value of y. So they have told me that log, and I continued from here, log 3 x minus 2 is equals to 7. That's basically telling me that when I raise 3 to 7, I should get x minus 2. So if I use my calculator and get 3 raised to 7, that's 2187 is equals to x minus 2. So x in that case would be 2189, right? 2189. This is not really complex, you could just learn this. There are other techniques as well, but I prefer this technique. Now it says write the recurring fraction 0.41 with only one recurring as a fraction. So you know that x is basically 0.41. You take 10x, which is basically 4.11. This would still reoccur. And you have 100x, which would be 41.11. And when you subtract 100x minus 90x, you would get basically 41.11 minus 4.11. So when you do 41 minus 4, it gives me 37, but the decimals will cross them out. It's equivalent of 37. That is the value of basically 100 minus 10x, which gives me 90x. So 90x is equals to 37. So x would be equivalent of 37 over 90. Now you can't in fact simplify this, but just check with the calculator. 37 and 90 gives 0.41111. So that's your fraction, 37 divided by 90. Moving on, the next question is solve this equation tan x plus root 3 is 0. So tan x is equals to negative root 3. So x is equals to tan inverse of negative root 3. When I just use my calculator, tan inverse of basically negative root 3, I would get negative 60. Now tan values repeat. Whenever you get tan, it's basically very lucky compared to sine or cosine, because tan values repeat every 180. So when you add negative 60 plus 180, that gives you 120, and tan of 120 is negative root of 3. So your one value would be negative 60 plus 180, which is 120. Alright, and when you do 120 plus 180, that would give you 300. Just for clarification, you should check tan 300, it's negative root 3. So your values are 120 and 300. You can put the decimal plate if you would like, just for because angles is supposed to be with 1 dp. Moving on, it says simplify and give your answer the simple single fraction simplest form. I'm going to do the butterfly method. So 2 into y is 2y, minus 3 into y is 3y, and negative 3 into 1 is negative 3, over y into y is y squared, and y into 1 is y. And I simplify this, I would get basically negative hold up guys, my device is glitched. Yeah, so negative y minus 3 divided by y squared plus y. I could take the negative out, so I could say negative, then put a fraction y plus 3 divided by y squared plus y. Alright, negative y plus 3 divided by y squared plus y. Moving on, it says the diagram shows a triangular prism with cross section triangle BCV. So there's a prism and there's a cross section of a BCV. Angles are given BCV, BC, CV, and AB. You can read it. Calculate the angle between AV and the base ABCD. Now AV basically means that the upper side. Imagine it's a 3D shape, and a base ABCD basically means that if you had a line like this, then what would be the angle? This is pretty simple. So first of all, you're going to find the length of the hypotenuse, which is basically from A to C. Square root of 15 squared plus 5 squared, because that's Pythagoras theorem. 15 squared plus 5 squared, that gives you 5 root 10. Just write it in this because this is not the final value, so you want to round it off. Now if you know this value and if you know the opposite value, we could basically use tangent, because tan is opposite of adjacent. So tan theta would equal to, opposite is basically 4 and adjacent is 5 root 10. So theta would equal to, theta is basically an angle, you don't have to worry about learning it right now. Tan inverse 4 over 5 root 10 tan inverse 4 over 5, no, 4 over 5 root 10. That gives you basically, if you say 14.2, three significant figures, 1 dB as well. Alright, now let's move on to the next set of questions. Now here we move on to the simplification question, question number 25. So for this question, I would say that the best method to start off is negative p plus pt minus t plus 1 over 1 minus t squared. You would see that why I have rearranged this. When I take out negative p common, so that gives me 1 plus t, no, 1 minus t actually, because it's, I want a positive result, the initial denominator negative, so final will also be negative. So negative p plus pt, and if I take 1 and put 1 minus t, so 1 into 1 is 1 and 1 into negative t is negative t. 1 minus t squared can be written as 1 plus t and 1 minus t, because 1 into 1 is 1, 1 minus t plus t cancels out, and t into t is negative t squared. So if I further break it down, so I would get basically 1 minus p, 1 minus t is equals to 1 plus t and 1 minus t. I can cancel these out and I would get 1 minus p over 1 plus t. That is what I've got here, 1 minus p over 1 plus t. The last question regarding vectors. In the diagram, O is the origin, OP is P and OQ is given, R is the point of intersection with PQ and OS, and PR to RQ is 1:2. So if we take PQ as the total, which is 3, then this is 1 over 3 PR and this is 2 over 3. And OR and RS are equal. Find the position vector of S. Position vector S means how to go from O to S. To go from O to S, I would go from O to R and R to S. OR is basically equals to P plus 1 by 3 of the root to P to Q. Now how to go from P to Q? That is Q minus P, because I will go down from P, that is from here, and then I continue all the way here. And OR, so this is how I found OR, alright? Now it says that OR is equals to RS. That means the whole thing, OS, would be equal to P plus 1 by 3 Q minus 1 by 3 P plus P plus 1 by 3 Q minus 1 by 3 P. So P plus P would be 2P, 2 minus 1 by 3 minus 1 by 3. That gives me 4 by 3 P. And 1 by 3 Q plus 1 by 3 Q, that would be 2 by 3 Q. So if I write that down, plus, no, this is P plus 2 by 3 Q, 4 by 3 P plus 2 by 3 Q. Right, again what I've done is I've gone from O to R by P, and then I've just taken one of the fractions of the P to Q to find PR. And then because OR is RS as it's given in the question, so I could just simply use the same fraction again, and that would give me a whole 4 by 3P plus 2 by 3Q. Alright, so I think I've reached the end of this paper. I hope you guys liked the video, and I hope it was helpful for you, especially for your math exams or math test or your October-November papers, etc. So more IGCSE videos for the major 2024 papers are coming out soon. I'm trying to do my best for more videos. If you guys feel helped my video, you could take my super thanks, which would really help me, because it allows me to buy more of my books and also to contribute more towards these videos, and I would appreciate that. Just share this video with your friends so that it helps more and more people. Thank you. Stay tuned for more upcoming videos. If you have any doubts, please post them in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions for any papers or topics that you would like videos on, please do comment down below. Thank you. See you again. Bye.